It's Chad Ferguson, learntocatchcatfish.com. This week's Catfishing Quick Tip coming from my office at Learn to Catch Catfish headquarters because it is freezing cold outside and snowing. In February, going to be 70 degrees here again tomorrow. Crazy Texas weather. You just never know what you're going to get. This week's Catfishing Quick Tip is bait casting fishing reel basics. A couple of quick things I want to tell you about bait casting fishing reels that you need to know before you get started fishing with bait casters to make sure that you're able to cast easily and accurately. A lot of people are intimidated by bait cast fishing reels, but it's really no big deal to use them. First thing you want to do is make sure that you adjust the spool tensioner. That's this little round knob right here on the bottom. The way that you go about doing that is you tie a lead sinker on your line with it on the fishing rod, and you loosen this spool tensioner slightly, and then put your finger on the spool, depress the button on the reel, and allow the sinker to drop to the floor. When that sinker drops to the floor and the line does not continue to spin once the sinker hits the floor, that's going to be your perfect setting for a beginner to be able to cast a bait casting reel without having any backlashes. You can certainly go a little bit tighter than that, but you definitely want to make sure as you're starting out that when you release that sinker with the rod held up at a 45-degree angle and it hits the floor, that the spool on the reel stops turning. The other thing you want to do is make sure that you adjust the drag. Here on this fishing reel, it's this star right here on the inside of the reel handle. And what this does, if you turn it back towards you, it loosens. If you turn it forward, it tightens up. When you turn that drag, it tightens down and compresses on drag washers inside the reel. You always want to make sure that the drag is set properly, because having the correct drag setting is going to keep you from losing a good fish and allows you to fish with significantly lighter weight fishing line than the fish that you're catching. I catch big catfish all year long on 20-pound test line, and having a good drag on my fishing reel and having it set appropriately is what allows you to be able to do that. Now, there's all kinds of crazy ways that you'll hear about setting drag on a fishing reel. And a lot of guys will tell you to hook a scale up to it and pull on it with a scale and all this other garbage, and you don't need to do that. Just adjust the drag. You can tighten it or loosen it a little bit, and you just want it to be so you can easily pull some fishing line out with your hand. You can tighten it up a little bit, but you want to be able to tug that line out relatively easily. You always need to remember that when you're setting drag, you want to make sure that you go looser rather than tighter, because you can always add more drag or tighten down on the drag to compensate when you're reeling in a bigger fish. But if it's set too tight, that line's going to snap and you're going to lose it from the very beginning. So that's this week's Catfishing Quick Tip, is setting the spool tensioner and the drag on a bait cast fishing reel. To get more tips, tricks, and information on fishing for catfish, go to learntocatchcatfish.com.